My name is Nea, and for 10 years, I thought my marriage to Luca was perfect. He was the man every woman dreamed of, attentive, loving, and successful. We built a beautiful life together, a life I thought was based on honesty and mutual respect. But I was wrong. The foundation of our marriage wasn't solid ground. It was a web of lies so intricate, I never saw it coming. It all started subtly. Luca began working late more often. Business trips became more frequent, sometimes on short notice. When I'd ask for details, he'd wave it off with a smile, saying it was just boring corporate stuff. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He'd call me every night he was away, whispering sweet nothings, telling me how much he missed me. He'd bring back thoughtful gifts, little trinkets from cities I'd never seen. He was the perfect husband, even when he was miles away. Then, the small inconsistencies started piling up. A receipt from a restaurant in a city he wasn't supposed to be in. A stray comment from a colleague about a conference he never mentioned attending. Each time, he had a plausible explanation. The receipt was from an old trip. The colleague was mistaken. His answers were so smooth, so confident, that I felt foolish for even doubting him. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the stress of my own job was making me imagine things. I wanted to believe him, so I did. One Tuesday afternoon, everything shattered. I had taken the day off, hoping to surprise Luca at his office with lunch. As I walked into the sleek, modern lobby of his building, I saw him standing by the elevators. He wasn't alone. He was with a woman, and the way he looked at her, the way his hand rested on the small of her back, it was a look I knew all too well. It was the same look he gave me. My heart hammered against my ribs. I froze, hiding behind a large potted plant, feeling like a spy in my own life. They laughed together, their heads close. Then, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a long, passionate kiss that stole the air from my lungs. The woman wasn't just a colleague, it was clear as day. I stumbled out of the building, my mind a chaotic storm. Who was she? How long had this been going on? All those late nights, those business trips, they were all lies, every single one. The man I had shared my bed with for a decade was a stranger. That evening, when Luca came home, he was his usual charming self. He kissed me, asked about my day, and complained about a long meeting. I played along, my insides churning with a toxic mix of anger and grief. I needed to know the truth, but I also needed a plan. A simple confrontation wouldn't be enough. He was a master of lies. He just spun another tale, so I started digging. It felt wrong, like a betrayal of the trust I thought we had, but his actions had already incinerated that trust. I started with his credit card statements, which he carelessly left on his desk. My hands trembled as I scanned the pages. There were charges for fancy dinners I never attended, hotel rooms in cities he claimed he was just passing through, and expensive jewelry I had never received. The dates lined up perfectly with his business trips. The name on some of the receipts was Chloe. A quick search on social media, fueled by a desperate need to put a face to my pain, revealed everything. Chloe was a junior executive at his company. Her profile was filled with pictures from Paris, Rome, Tokyo, all the places Luca had supposedly gone for work. And in some of the photos, if you looked closely, you could see his reflection in a window, or his hand holding hers, just out of frame. They weren't just having an affair. They were living a whole other life together, funded by our joint account. The lies were so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. It wasn't just about infidelity. It was a systematic deception that had been going on for years. Every memory we had shared was now tainted. Our anniversary trip to Italy. He had taken her to the same city a month later. The promotion he celebrated with me? It was a promotion that allowed him to travel more freely with her. I felt like I was drowning. The man I loved didn't exist. He was a character Luca played, a role he perfected for his audience of one, me. The pain was unbearable, but beneath it, a cold, hard resolve began to form. I wasn't going to be his fool any longer. I gathered all the evidence. The printed statements, the screenshots from Chloe's social media, the travel itineraries. I laid them out on our dining room table, a mosaic of his betrayal. When Luca walked in that night, whistling a cheerful tune, his smile faded as soon as he saw the display. "Naya, what is this?" he asked, his voice losing its usual confidence. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just looked at him, my eyes empty of the love they once held. "This," I said, my voice steady, "is your other life. The one you forgot to tell me about." He tried to deny it, of course. The lies came tumbling out, practiced and reflexive. But for every lie I had a piece of evidence, a receipt, a photo, a date. His face grew pale, his composure crumbling with each piece of truth I presented. The master manipulator was finally cornered, with nowhere to run. I can't explain," he stammered. "There's nothing to explain, Luca," I replied calmly. "You didn't just cheat on me. You built a fantasy on a foundation of lies. Our marriage, our life. It was all a stage for your performance." That night, he confessed everything. The affair had started 5 years ago. Chloe knew he was married, she didn't care. They had plans, he admitted, to eventually leave me and start a life together once he had secured a larger financial settlement from a company merger. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was using me, waiting for the most financially opportune moment to discard me. The betrayal was deeper than I could have comprehended. His lies about working late felt so small, so insignificant compared to the truth. A meticulously planned, long-term deception designed to benefit him at my expense. He hadn't just broken my heart. He had tried to rob me of my future. I didn't stay to hear anymore. I packed a bag and left the house we had built together, leaving him standing amidst the ruins of his own creation. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers and paperwork. I learned he had been moving money from our joint accounts into a separate one. The scale of his deceit was staggering. But as the initial shock wore off, something else took his place: strength. I realized I wasn't the weak-kneed woman he thought I was. I was a survivor. I had uncovered his lies, faced the ugly truth, and I was still standing. My friends and family, who had been suspicious of Luca for years, rallied around me, their support a lifeline in the turbulent water. The legal battle was tough, but the evidence I had gathered was undeniable. He couldn't lie his way out of court. I fought for what was rightfully mine, not out of revenge, but out of principle. I wouldn't let him profit from a decade of deception. In the end, I walked away with my dignity and my future intact. It was a painful, gut-wrenching process, but it was also liberating. I learned that the end of a lie is the beginning of the truth. My truth was that I deserved better. I deserved honesty, respect, and a love that wasn't a performance. Today, my life is my own. I've started my own business, reconnected with my passions, and found a sense of peace I never knew I was missing. Sometimes, I think about Luca and the web of lies he spun. I don't feel anger anymore, just a strange sort of pity for a man who had to build a fake life because he was too much of a coward to live an honest one. My story is a painful one, but it's also a story of resilience. It's a reminder that even when the world you know crumbles, you have the power to rebuild. You can emerge from the wreckage stronger, wiser, and more certain of what you deserve. The truth might hurt, but it also sets you free. Thank you for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, know that you are not alone and you have the strength to get through this.